Your mind's on activity. There's a napkin on your table. Could you pull it out? And also in your handout page, it's the one with snippets. You'll see that. I changed my whole little presentation. I saw these napkins, okay? This is an activity that Kathy and I adapted. It's my favorite one. Look at that napkin. See the napkins, the hotel napkins? I want you to look at these shapes and tell me which one is the bully, which one is the bullied, which one is the bystander. You got 1 minute. Go. Turn to a friend. Go. Which one is the bully? Yeah. And stop. We're going to do a few turn and talks. If you've been in my classroom before, to get a minds on, Kathy and I invented this activity called the circle, square, and triangle, and how you manipulate the shapes, and some of you experienced that. And it's just looking at the metaphors then, and there is no wrong answer. The small one that's on that page when I was listening could certainly be the bully, and that leaves at who are the bystander and who is the bully person. Or maybe you looked at the shapes within. So that activity is called circle, square, and triangle. And it's just a minds-on activity for my little short chat. I want us to look at those roles. And today I want us to look at through the frame of an art form called poetry. So this handout that you have is called Bully Snippets. And this is an extension of an activity that's in Drama Schemes, Themes, and Dreams, synthesized in a little handbook that I've called the Bully Go Round. And Kathy and I have an expanded version of Bully Snippets in Creating Caring Classrooms. And just to punctuate some of the themes that have already been in the room, this book is about, we've had a framework for community. You got to build community, hopefully through our little activity. And each of these speakers so far has talked about getting kids to connect together. Chapter 2 is about communication. How do you invite participants to communicate, not just orally through the arts, and also through drama, etc., and nonverbal communication. Chapter 3 is collaboration. How do you get to work together? How do you invite those kids, that group skill stuff? How do you invite them to work together? Compassionate understanding is chapter 4. How do we move into emotional literacy? And we have some resources to do that. And we argue when those things are in place, then we can move to chapter 5, confronting the bully issues. I want to demonstrate that through an activity in this art form called poetry. So this morning, I'm getting ready. I woke up at 5 o'clock today, all nervous, which tie am I going to wear, etc. And I got this great idea where you English teachers, this is a fantastic idea. And I've sort of used it, but I like the way this, it's Poetry Week, by the way. Am I timely or what? And he called them newspaper blackout poems. And I'm not going to read them to you, but visually show you that you take a column in a newspaper, take your black marker, and you've got the words that are left over become a free verse poem. I want to do that activity with my students, and I will. And so this one is about Ford allies call the mayor a lone wolf. Ford allies call the mayor a lone wolf, a brawler. Warning, surrender could be political. Defeat, Ford is, Ford is, Ford is, Ford. Free verse poem. So I want to invite you into a little activity that I've been looking at. So that sheet then, they're called bully snippets, fragments, or excerpts. These are statements that come from poems about bullying. David Booth and I have collected a large banquet of literature about bullying, and these are snippets, and these are the voices or thoughts, if you use the thought bubble, about what somebody might think, feel, or say. So if you could just look over that sheet, and I'm going to give you the first turn or the second turn and talk activity. I'd like you to choose one and talk why it speaks to you. So just going to take independent reading then for a bit of time before we talk. And hopefully by now you have a partner that you feel comfortable talking with. And I'm going to give you the focus questions for your discussion. One is choose one of them. Choose one that speaks to you rather than looking at the whole page. Hope you can do that. And decide whether you think it's a bully, bullied, or bystander speaking, who is speaking, and invent a little story. Why might this person be thinking or saying that? So you're just getting a little context for these thoughts. Is it a bully, bullied, or bystander? Or of course there's blurred, it could be both. And what do you think the story is? Why are they thinking or feeling that? And that's going to be a 2-minute activity with a partner beside you. Go. I think you get the idea then. The community teacher wants to have a storytelling, personal text-to-self connection. Does this remind you of somebody you know or somebody, or has it happened to you? And we have to have a trusting community where kids feel safe to share some of those stories. So that would happen in my literacy class. The drama teacher in me wants to get up and stand and read these aloud chorally. We're going to interpret them and do a beautiful choral collage by reading these out loud. And yes, doing tableau. And then we're going to improvise those situations. So I want to get the story about that person. And here's that drama in a nutshell. You become that person. You either talk to that person or you are that person. And that's how drama happens automatically. The art teacher in me, I want to do a beautiful mural on my bulletin board or out in the hallways where the kids take these sentence fragments and they do an art display. One of the teachers in my option did that as well. I was visiting a grade 5 class in June and they worked on the circle, square, and triangle. So they took their snippets and did art. And it just looks like they're creating shapes, but the shapes that they did are metaphors for a bully's story. So don't get your pleasure from my pain. He's the bully that everyone knows. He needs to be taught. And I find this one very interesting. The red's on this side, the white's on this side. And this kid took his shape and made an abstract figure. And I've been waiting for a bully like you. So the art teacher in me would absolutely use these as a source for some visual representation or a graffiti board. And the writing teacher in me wants to invite kids to write a poem. And I got 4 minutes to invite you to write a poem. And I'm going to tell you about a little project that I'm doing. I invented this project. We don't teach a lot in the spring at OISE. And I was sitting there. I said, I got to do something. So that's another story. So. And I invented this project for myself. No ethical review. It was just something that I wanted to do. I wanted to collect 1,000 poems from 1,000 kids on poetry. And I just invented this in June. And so in June, I went to a grade 3 class, a grade 5 class, 2 grade 7 classes. And so I'm up to 250 poems. And I'm going to continue that. I've got 1,000, I'm going to get 1,000 poems from 1,000 kids. I'll show you the example. And here's the activity. They took a sentence fragment, so that one that you just chose, or you can choose another one if it doesn't work for you. I'm going to ask you to write a thought before or a thought after. So you've got a piece of paper, take that sentence fragment, write a thought before or a thought after, or before and after, if you are just going to add on a thought. If you're confused, I'll come around and help you. But if it doesn't have to rhyme, actually I discourage that, but if you make it rhyme, that's fine. So if you could do a thought before, thought after, if you want to work with a partner or do it by yourself, again, just 2 minutes because I'm going to finish on time. Go. And the last activity, just to demonstrate this, is I'd like you to create that thought and move it into a free verse poem. So what you do is you take what you've written then And in a free verse poem, you could have 2 words on the line, 1 word, 3 words. So manipulate that and just give it a taste of how you can manipulate the words that you have into a poem, because I'll show you what some of the kids did. But a free verse poem might look like that. That's a grade 3 class. So if they can do it, here we go. Go. And stop. There is my research project in a nutshell. I'd love to hear your poems, but the kids are better than yours, I'll tell you that. And this is my collection of 250. I worked with Joan's sister in York Region. I can't remember which ones are the grade 5s, but these are some of the poems from the kids. And I changed my workshop today because I met Lisa. Larry, I got something for you. One of the classes that I went into was Lisa O'Donoghue. It was a hot day in June. They just finished EQAO, and here I am going to write poetry with them. Oh my goodness. So Lisa, she emailed me them online, but she gave me the copies today. So I read them a poem that's in a couple of books that about bullying. In the drama book, it's the Mosquito Poem, and I asked the kids, if you were going to write a poem about a bully or somebody who's being bullied, what animal would you choose? And every kid had an animal: a bear, a fish, a cat, a mouse. She's tiny, she's mean, she's cruel, she fights. The mosquito buzzes, the mosquito bites. She torments, she swarms, she teases, she taunts. The mosquito buzzes, the mosquito haunts. You're bigger than herd, your blood is what feeds. Beware of the bully, you're the victim she needs. By Larry Swartz. So I asked these kids, name an give me your animal. This is Lisa's class, June. Ready? Chinchilla. How many of you said chinchilla? Deer, fish, anaconda, tiger, bullied panda. Then I get Tyrannosaurus Rex, minotaur, skunk, cheetah, and then this rascal, oh God, I remember very clearly, Lisa, a liger. I said, what the heck? It's a liger. Oh, sir, it's a real animal. It's half tiger and half lion. It's really, and he went on his iPad and he said, look, sir, and he started to tell me all about this. Here are their poems. Here we go. I am the cheetah. I am a fast, fast animal. I hunt people down. It's hard to escape from me. Chinchilla. I am the chinchilla. I've hunted for my fur. I try climbing the wall. I dash down the hall. Narrow escape. Chinchilla. I am the anaconda waiting for my prey. I wait and wait to get you. I am the bully. Hooray. T-Rex runs ready for attack. It waits for dinosaurs, blood and skin. Run away, run away. Too late, I'm eating you, sucker. Ha, ha, ha. A deer is hunted by us. We eat them and use their fright. We use their fright. I love that. We use their fright. We take their antlers. They are afraid. And she called it Deer Hunt. So there's some metaphor poems using the animals, and I do have a collection of them. These are older grades. I can slash, I can stomp, I can shout. I can drive the bird of kindness out. Away and away. I have the power to do so. Boys stood around, but the walls heard their cheers. The fight went on. The walls heard their tears. They say I'm a ton of lard. They say it was a huge joke. They thought they were so clever. It wasn't so funny to me. So in these poems, what the kids has, you've been stabbed in the back. Could be you've been stabbed in the back by their mean words. Your eyes start to drop and the water rushes out. But there's no way for the pain to stop. I always wondered, why would you haunt me? You think I'm weak. Instead, I feel much stronger by offering you my hand. Inside these poems are what's called found poetry. Just like those, some of those words were borrowed and then they translated them into free verse poetry to look at this compassionate understanding, bully, bullied, bystander. Thanks for listening to my idea. We are going to take a break, and just before we do that, we would want to invite this little party. So just while I call up my two friends who have spoken already, what questions, what's going through your head? You heard 3 speakers. We're looking at student well-being. Questions, concerns, comments, or connections to what we said, and we're just going to do a little talk back with you. Share that with your friends while I call up Kathy and Joey, okay? Any questions with your neighbors, okay? So we're going to do a little Q&A. We stand between you and the break. But anything percolating inside your head, some questions, concerns, or sharings? Yes, my friend Ellen, go.
Something you said, Kathy, which I love, there are no disposable children in the world. That just really resonates.
That actually is a quote from the Deputy Minister of Education, who said that at the OFIP conference. So the government speaks through those lines. It's a very powerful line, and it affected me as well.
Thanks, Ellen. So Ellen highlighted, just repeat it, Ellen, for
The quote, there are no disposable children in the world.
Okay. Thanks for...
Gallagher from the Ministry of Education spoke to all the people last week, and that was one of the things that she said, and it's very powerful.
Thanks for that. Ron.
Just interested, Joey, with your, something I didn't know that I thought about a whole lot, about the child who isn't sharing because he cares so much about the object or the toy or whatever. I thought that was very interesting.
I work with a lot of kids, with some with special needs, some without, and that's something that a lot of kids, especially when they're young, they struggle with. And it's interesting to see the discrepancy and the difference between where they are and whether they're at home and the object itself, how much they care about it, what type of object it is. If it's a building blocks that are easier to share, if it's one ball that they have to share. And so just switching the activities, switching the object can change the whole success.
If you put that to an adult level, I'm just thinking right off the top now. When somebody wants to borrow something that we have that means a lot to us, we probably, well, I